Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to Diversus Stars podcast. All my loyal listeners, thank you for continued support. And remember, click that subscribe button, everybody. It's an amazing episode because Josh Banday boards the mothership. You know him as Dennis on Not Dead Yet. On board, we go traversing the stars. All right. Hello, Mr. Banday. Thank you so much for coming to the Diversus Stars podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
So my pleasure. I really enjoyed Not Dead Yet, so thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for watching.
So I always start off with a question of inspiration. So what inspired your love for acting and who are your earliest influences?
My love for acting was probably started by Robin Williams, to be totally honest. Love the guy. I watched Hook when I was younger. That really inspired me. Watching him play the genie. And then also Jeffrey Wright, who is kind of like an actor's actor. But because he's multicultural like myself, one of these mixed kids, he was able to play a wide variety of characters, and I was like, I want that. I want to do that. So yeah, I think those are my two guys.
So I read that you studied acting at the Leslie Kahn Conservatory and the Kingsman Shakespeare Theater Company. So what did each teach you about the craft of acting?
Oh man, kind of everything. I'm one of those people that really bounces around institutions. Let's see, Leslie Kahn. What does Leslie Kahn teach you? Leslie Kahn teaches you, it's the best school for learning about multicam acting, okay, which is like kind of like How I Met Your Mother and Big Bang. It's one of those places that has like multiple cameras and the timing is like music. It's really specific. In order to hit the comedy, you have to hit the timing and the turns, and it's very sharp. And Leslie Kahn, man, she'll put you to your paces, and if you don't get it, she'll tell you. My very first Leslie Kahn triage, she probably doesn't remember this, but my very first Leslie Kahn triage, there was a guy in there, and she literally said, I'd been to lots of acting classes, and it's very flowery. People are very accepting. Leslie Kahn was just like, I don't think this is for you. And I was like,
Oh shit.
oh my God, let's go. I went in. So, she was cutthroat, and I knew she was going to tell me the truth. And so, and she always has. So that was one thing. And then she also taught me how to study while I was waiting for things and how to prep. And because the business, so much of it is just like, hurry up and wait. There's a big part of acting that's just, what do you do in the in between? And Leslie Kahn taught me how to go to my community and, take to the stage and study script and stuff. And that was great. And then Shakespeare, studying with Kingsman Shakespeare was just a great introduction to the craft itself and really diving into Shakespeare, like especially diving into text, right? So Shakespeare, people go like, okay, yeah, the flower, what do you know about it? It's a big language, it's people with the collars and the swords and stuff. And yeah, it is that. At the heart of it is commentary and sex and danger and death. And it's this person trying to communicate to an actor and to a theater company with 2 weeks of rehearsal. How do you do that? You get real specific with those words. You're going to lay into that text. And so uncovering and digging through all of that, that's what Shakespeare really taught me. Yeah.
Now with Leslie Kahn and that honesty, how scary is that honesty? I mean, is it fueling you? Is it making you want to piss yourself? How does that work?
I brought an extra change of underwear with me in my car every time. Leslie Kahn. So if you think about it, like it is all of those things. It's the truth that I wanted, though. I think a lot of us, we in our lives, we have like an idea of who we are. And I'm Jeff. I have a podcast. I love Mandalorian. I wear Mandalorian shirts. This is me. It's the terrifying part, and the part that really made me confront acting for what it is part of her school is seeing how other people see you, and uh, understanding that is a tool that you have to work with. That's a canvas that you have to paint on. other people's perception of you when you walk in the room. So one of the things is just learning what that is. What do people see when they first see me? Obviously sexually attractive. People think spy, people think action star when they see me, obviously. Uh icon, musician, sex symbol. Did that come up twice? Anyway, so yeah, it was really helpful for that. And yeah, it's really terrifying.
Now you're talking about multi-camera acting, like I said, like sitcoms, like Big Bang Theory, things of that nature. Is that specifically different in an approach from non multi-camera sitcoms or other dramas?
Yeah, so like so we call that like single cam. So multicam versus single cam.
Okay.
Multicam is more like theater. Your sphere of focus, your acting has to reach an audience of people that are in the room with you, and your job is to make them laugh. Especially after they've seen the same scene 12 times. You got to bring this timing. And what it's like, everybody in the room agrees that like we're all here for a purpose, and that's to reach an audience beyond the TV, and so this rhythm kind of ensues in the room. You become like a choir. The audience has its part to laugh and joke and awe and boo when they need to, when they
Yeah.
feel it. And then your job is to hit the timing so they know they're queued up for when they're supposed to do that. So the approach is, you have a layer of character and who you are and what you're bringing and your thoughts, and then you are like, okay, cool, how do I make that work with the timing?
Mm.
And then the last layer of it is, how do I make that original and
Mm.
interesting? Single cam is different. It's smaller, your focus is more internal with the other actor who's with you, and your awareness of the camera is like this little third person. That's your very small group. Now you're pentatonics. You're just like the little quartet. So it's the performance is different, but what they have in common is the approach to character and thought and stuff like that.
So, I mean, having been on Big Bang Theory, we'll talk about this in just for a brief moment. Um, when you're on a sitcom, is everyone there looking for their laugh, or is it times where you're trying to play for somebody else's laugh? Like how is that even like shared, or like is it hard to put your ego aside and go, this laugh maybe not be mine, this is theirs, or things of that nature?
Yeah, it's a kind of a special skill, because I think actors in theater sometimes, you'll go to even professional theater and it's like everybody's looking for their laugh, and like, you guys just do the play. Like, just can we just be the characters in this play? And the difference is multicam, you can get fired on the spot. So
Oh
there's
shit.
an element, there's an element of like, when it's your turn to solo.
Hmm.
We're doing a lot of music metaphor, but I feel like it it works. You're in a jazz band, when it's your turn. If you go during the piano solo, don't do that, or you got to be so great that they can't deny it. And
Hmm.
that's a dangerous game to play. It's like, be willing to go like, I'm okay walking away from this. I'm going to do my bit. It's amazing. But yeah, you're generous with where the laughs go. And then there's the understanding of, once we've got everything, now we can play around a little bit, you know.
So, well, also like when you're doing these sitcoms too, the two things I always find about comedy is one, timing, and then that rhythm, especially when the laughing's coming, you have to like wait for your turn to go. How much of a skill are timing and that kind of like rhythm?
Oh, it's almost everything. It's it's almost everything. It's like, I I think that you could train someone who just had the timing and didn't have any of the acting skill, like didn't bring like that real character, wasn't, we didn't believe their thoughts, but their timing is just good. Uh, that they could be professionals if they had it.
Hmm.
Um, and that's how we get like kind of wry characters. Like, the acting's not there, but man, their timing is so good. You know. So I think, yeah, it is. It's really, really important. Of course, when you have both, that's
Hmm.
when you get the best stuff. But yeah, the music it's kind of everything. So it's like, watch those shows, get that timing in your head, and then if you look at a script of that episode and you're going along with it, just see what the actors are doing, how they're turning. It's an invaluable skill.
What happens when the audience doesn't laugh? Has that ever happened when you did your thing and then you hear like crickets in the background? And what do? Do you just keep roll with it, or do you just say like, okay, rewrite, let's go back and try this one more time?
So okay, so that has happened. That has happened before. Um, it's kind of one of my favorite things because, especially on stage, that's one of my favorite things when they don't laugh. I did like improv comedy and I did sketch, and one of my favorite things is when they didn't laugh because now it's the real test of your comedy. How good are you?
Hmm.
I remember like I forgot what the bit was, but the punchline was like, "My God, the man's been eaten by a shark," and it was supposed to be this great big laugh, and it got crickets, and so we just sort of held, and then I think it was me. I said it again. My God, that man's been eaten by a shark, and like nothing happened, and I think it went through 13 times of me just repeating this line over and over until it started to be like we're now laughing that he's really trying until like it became this weird inside joke and now the audience is saying it with me and we're screaming like that's the magic of not getting a laugh. It's I love it, but in the professional setting not so much fun. Very scary, terrifying.
So, as someone who's good at improv, when you're on set with someone who's not doing improv, how rough is it? Like when you like, are you trying riffing, or do you because you know they're not into improv, or do you kind of give them a break? How's that work when you're dealing with someone who isn't probably as skilled as you are in those areas?
I think it depends on how comfortable they are, right? I'm an actor that, for better or for worse, like I want to get the best performance out of people. And but I also know that especially if someone's like coming on as a guest, that this can be scary for them. Like this is a scary job.
Hmm.
You're basically like putting up your resume and like you got to perform. And if it doesn't go well, that could be the rest of your career sometimes. And so when you have someone that improvises, it's magic because you find things like being with Lauren Ash on Not Dead Yet is like we're professionals. We come in, we hit the script, and now it's like you take your earrings off. Like, let's go. Let's see who's gonna break first. Like let's get into this. And she always wins. She's so good. It's awful. But when people aren't comfortable, it's like I get to know the person. Who are you? Do you have kids? What's the deal? You kind of riff in real life. And then it's like, oh, the cameras are rolling. Okay, cool. Let's just, and you can get actors want to do that a lot of the time. It's like our natural state. We're just playing make believe.
Right.
It's just giving yourself permission to do it. So yeah, it depends. It really depends.
Is there like a warning, like, oh, by the way, just let you know, I'm gonna be coming at you with some improv, or do you just drop it and then they just have this like deer in the headlights look sometimes, like, what? That's not in the script.
It's my favorite thing.
Really?
My favorite, especially it's just like the first time where they're not expecting it. That's my favorite, especially like when you have an actor that doesn't improvise and then you throw something wild in there. And then when they do react in character, it's like you just pulled a rabbit out of the hat. They're like, did we just, oh my God. It's like my favorite thing. And yeah, the deer in the headlights totally happens. And that stuff usually is what makes the cut, which is really weird.
Is there like a whole blooper reel of you improving with people who are getting deer in headlights reaction?
There there are extensive blooper reels of me in particular, just because I'm pretty creative with my lines. The script coordinator is and I have a very close relationship. We go to each other's Christmases and Thanksgivings because we're together on set a lot. They're like, "Can you just say your line like we wrote it in the script ever?" I'm like, "No, we'll figure it out."
Are the writers of the sitcom like my motherfucker?
All of it's just like lines in parentheses, like just give Josh, just tell him to say it's it like so. Actually, the writers were oh my god, the writers were especially on Not Dead Yet, amazing, amazingly funny. So what was really frustrating was part of what I like about my job is that I get to do the script and then I get to do something that they didn't know they wanted. That's like one of my favorite things. But the writing was really good. So I'm like, I'm trying to best this writer, and it didn't happen a lot of the time because like that's just better than anything I could come up with. I'm like, so we had words. It was frustrating.
So as we are gonna say, you appeared on one of the my favorite sitcom of all time is Big Bang Theory. It's one of those like comfort foods I rewatch every so often. I'll binge it just like when I need like a mood boost.
Yes,
What was
same.
that experience like on Big Bang Theory?
Oh, I mean, like, because I was a fan of the show uh, before I got cast. So it was very scary because Chuck Lorre is the creator and he's very specific about his timing and his script. So there was no like Joshy gets to play. It was like come in and nail the lines. But I mean, it was like it was like going to Disneyland. And then, you know, at the time I was working at like a graphic designer at a personal training company. And so I like went to work. I was hanging out with Johnny Galecki. We're talking about our moms. I'm talking to Kaley Cuoco about tennis. We're doing this scene together. We're making each other laugh. They were in one of their last seasons, so they were all kind of done. So it's interesting seeing like them interact and be like, yeah, okay, we're doing the thing. Hi. And then I do this thing for like a week, and then I went back to like my little cubicle to work, and it was like this void in my life. And I just remember that feeling of like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I have to if I don't make it work, the rest of my life is going to feel like regret,
Mm.
So that was the experience that made that vacuum for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
So when you're on the show with like I said with John Galicki and Kaley,
Mhm.
I'm not surprised they were that like social. I kind of figure like with all their years of success, they'd be like, who's the new guy? Okay, just stand over there, guy. They really were that they were really that friendly. Be like, sure, we're gonna chat with you. Or they so bored with each other that they're happy for any new person in the room.
I will say they were like during takes, they were pretty bored. Like Johnny was pretty cool. Like honestly, he was one of the coolest guys just because we talked. We had the scene together, and anytime you have a guest, like Johnny taught me how to treat a guest star,
Mm.
basically, right? Because it feels like who is this kid? Like you're just coming on for a day, for like a week, and
Mm.
then we don't see you again, whatever. But he and I, got to connect and got to chat. He didn't blow me off. And when I did Mom, which is another multicam, I was like, I felt the same way. I'm like, oh my God, like no one cares that I'm even here. I had two lines.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. I just was like, oh, here's the winner of the trivia contest. But I was walking by the makeup trailer, and Allison Janney was in there rehearsing with the other people in the room. And she didn't know me. We didn't even have a scene together. And I was walking by and I kind of looked in, and she goes, hey, hey, hey. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, am I not supposed to be here? Because it's like a room full of women. Am I going to get in trouble? And she's just like, get in here. And I'm like, oh, so I go and she's like, sit, listen to this. And she let me listen to their rehearsal and
Very cool.
to hear them work through timing and hear them go like, okay, well, you got to be here so that I can top you, blah, blah, blah. And just hear those little adjustments in the script. Like it was one of the defining moments of my life, you know?
That's so cool.
Yeah, man, she was amazing.
I'm also a fan of Jenny from The West Wing. The West Wing is like the Big Bang Theory for me. It's one of those shows. Again, I watch so many damn times. I sit there just repeating the lines. So I watch
You
the
don't watch like lowbrow TV, do you? There's no like repeats
show.
of Jackass or anything. Like you
No,
got like,
unfortunately, I'm not able to go to the lowbrow. It really is. It's got to be The West Wing and Big Bang.
fair enough. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but now you got me all envious that you got to be in the room with those guys. Who I'm just like, oh, that must be a hell of a thing. I mean, you learn from the masters of the craft
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, it's true. It's true. I was very lucky.
But now, when you're thinking of like chemistry and whatnot, when you have when you see the show like Big Bang Theory working, when you see a show like Mom's working, how do you bring that to Not Dead Yet and seeing how you can build chemistry on that set?
Yeah, Not Dead Yet was really unique for me because I was also on a show. I'm on another an Amazon show called Upload, and the cast, we're all buddies and we like each other and we come to work and we're pros and Andy and I are very good friends. Who's the star of that show? But getting on to Not Dead Yet was like odd because we had this dinner to start the whole season where we all got to meet each other, and it was like a family reunion with people you've never met. And I'm like, and I'm very suspicious of that. I'm like, ugh, you don't know me? What are you talking about? What? But all of a sudden it was just there. Like Lauren, Ash, and I were just riffing from the moment that we met each other. Gina and I, the first time we met, it was like seeing one of your cousins that you get into a lot of trouble with when you were kids. And you're just like, oh my God, remember that time? It was really strange. And so we've gotten the questions a lot on tours, like press tours, like, what did you guys do? And it's really hard to answer because it's like nothing. It just worked. Um, it's really different in that way.
So when you get a character once again like Dennis, who I mean, it's you're not the star of the, you're not all the time, but you're definitely an important part of the show. Do they give you background information on who this guy is? How much do they give you, and how much do you create for yourself?
Dennis is really an amalgamation of me and the character they had in mind, which is interesting. So like, yes, they gave me backstory on Dennis about what he's this editor and he's good friends with Nell. And the first thing I asked was like, okay, we've known each other since college. What was the show that we got together and binged every night? So we're like, okay, Law and Order SVU. Okay, great. And Project Runway. Okay, great. And then it was like, okay, they at one point the writers, the head writers, David and Casey, asked me to come in and meet with the writers room. And I'm also a writer, so I was like super excited, and I'm like, I get to ask them questions about like, what is it? Tell me about this show and what's the blah blah, what's the theme? And it wasn't that at all. I came into the writers room and they're like, tell us your stories. What has your life been like? Tell us about your family. Tell us about your experience. I'm bi, and so they wanted to know about that experience. And those stories became the stuff of Dennis. And so it made him almost surreal to play because I'm like, this is something that I would go through in my real life. There's an episode where he's terrified of his kid um, asking him to play basketball.
Yes. I just want to point out the funny thing is, my next question is, I really enjoyed the episode not out of high school yet. That literally was my next question. So
there it is, man. I mean, like, so that I was like, you guys, that came out of a very real experience of mine. Yes.
Really?
Yes. I was on a commercial set for a Yogi, not Yogi, what's his name? The bear, the forest fire bear.
Oh yeah, Smokey.
Smokey, yes.
Smokey
Oh
the
my
bear.
God, Smokey. So there's this like 7 foot tall bear on this set, and it's blazing hot. And like there's a man in the bear suit. And every time we cut, they have to like put a huge fan. They take as much of the costume off, they put a huge fan on him, they put him back in the costume. It's like 102 degrees. And we're on like, we've been through this grueling day. It's 3 p.m. And they're like, okay, we're on the last shot of this whole thing. Everyone's done great. Josh, we just need you to say, hey, Smokey, take a frisbee, throw it at the bear, and it's going to hit him in the chest. And he's just going to look at you blankly, like, did you really throw that frisbee? And I was like, got it. So they're like, let's just do a practice run. I'm like 20 feet away from this bear. It's too far. And like, I throw the frisbee and it hits him square in the chest. And they're like, oh my God, yes. Oh, I wish we were rolling on that. Okay, let's roll on this one. Here we go. And I could not hit that bear for 2 hours. We got closer and closer. I was like a foot away from just trying to peg him in the chest. It never happened. They had to call in like a set person to come in and do it. It was the most embarrassing experience. And it developed a fear in me of like, am I going to be able to do this for my kids? What's going to happen? But they're like, Dad. So I told them that story. And then lo and behold, here comes a basketball episode. And so I'm like, I got this. Thank you so much for making me relive it. I got it. So
At what point do they just CGI the stupid frisbee? Bring in
like
the tech guys.
just get special effects in here, man. Let's just put it on a wire, okay? Anything.
Because it's something that has happened to you, did it make this the episode easier to play, or is it like weirder for you because you know it's real? You're just like a little too close to home, guys. A little too close.
That one was easy. That one was easier to play. There's in the finale, it was really difficult because I can't tell you what happens, but there's a moment in the finale where Dennis is making a really difficult decision, and he starts to think about family and what he wants. And at the time, that very same week, my dad was passing away. And so I was really terrified that like I'm going to get to this big moment because it's a big emotional thing and I'm not going to be able to have it because I'm so worried about this thing. And I was kind of bearing these feelings for my dad because I got to work. And when the moment came, it was just there's a specific line and all of it was there. And I had the ability to access it and bring it through Dennis into his experience. And it was kind of beautiful because it really meshed the two of us, and it also made the whole experience kind of transcendent. I was able to kind of think about him for the first time in that week and bring it to the performance. I mean, chances are they're going to cut it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But that part was both difficult and I'm just so grateful for being able to do that. Being given the opportunity to do it.
Now, a character once again in the show, he's such a positive character. Do you view him as someone who's genuinely happy, or someone who's trying to look happy?
I think to me, he's got just like so many things to do. Like Dennis just is like, I just need it done. Thank you. So like he's being professional and polite, but underneath that is that undercurrent of like, oh my God, I don't want to ask you again for this. It's the third time this week. Give me the article. Like I think he's everybody's best friend, and it's not even like don't cross him. I don't know if he has that kind of attitude. I think he's very people pleasing. But the joy is, I think, half nervousness and anxiety, half joy kind of thing.
What is about him that you would like to explore more, or wish you had explored more in the season?
I would love to see some of what makes Dennis who he is. We're very much getting like this now moment of Dennis, and some characters we got to kind of go into a little bit of their backstory, and with Dennis, there's not so much. We're just kind of getting into who he is now. I would love to see that, and then he's very much in his element when he's at the paper, and I'd love to see him really out of sorts. That does happen once. Oh my God, it does happen once in the upcoming episode. But to see him at a football game, I would love to, and just see what he does. Put him in like a surf competition, and just what is he gonna do? Yeah, I would love to see that.
Now, what are the whispers from the renewal gods about season 2 of Not Dead Yet?
So the gods have whispered everybody's happy that like you know network is pleased with the show and the writers are pleased with where it is. you know I think it's generally getting a good response. And like not everything is super positive, but like anytime you put art out in the world, that's what you're going to get. We're supposed to find out in the next 2 months, 2 or 3 months. We'll see what our fate is. But hopefully we get renewed. I really enjoy the show.
So, I mean, as an actor, like, what do you do with that wait time? Because on the one hand, you got to think about what happens if not, but at the same time, you got a good feeling about it, you want to stay what you're kind of comfortable with what you're doing. Do you do you play it do you play it positively? Do you play it play it safe?
This is part of like the unspoken skills of acting people don't talk about. Like this is definitely something that you have to figure out of like what do you do in purgatory,
Right.
and that's part of what Leslie Kahn helped me with as well. But some of it is training. I write as well, so like I'm kind of working on pilots. I try to imagine like the most fantastical thing that I want to see on TV, and like and like try to put that into play. Um, and then yeah, and then also there's just having other things that you do, um, and having hope, but also being okay with recognizing like I got to do this thing that was really special and touched a lot of people's hearts, and that's good enough too. Yeah.
Well, hopefully the renewal guys are nice to Not Dead Yet, and you get your second season. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm playing it cool, but God, I want it to happen, please. Was that a cool enough answer? I'm freaking out. I want that.
Just start doing the scenes now. Just start filming, and hopefully
Great.
someone picks it up.
Yeah, camera up. Thank you so much.
So where can listeners find Not Dead Yet right now?
Right. So Not Dead Yet is every Wednesday on ABC, and then you can watch it Thursdays on Hulu for like the rest of foreseeable future. Yeah, ABC show. Please come check us out. You can hopefully you love it, or you'll be like this one lady at church who was just like, it's not for me. And I'm like, oh great, great, thanks for letting me know.
So I know there's all sorts of things that happen behind the scenes, but for Not Dead Yet, for the viewers, is it better to watch it on Hulu, or or they should be watching it live to help it along?
I mean, personally, I watch it on Hulu. But if you want the second season, tuning in for live is what actually bumps those numbers. I mean, there's nothing wrong with watching on Hulu. They eventually come into play, but the realness is like what the networks are watching is like how many people are tuning in on the night. So I go to my neighbors' houses and knock on their doors and wake them up.
Just buy like 10 TVs, play it on all different
different rooms in the house, Yeah, exactly.
Well, Mr. Banday, it's been an absolute honor to speak with you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. This was really fun, man.
Come back anytime, especially for season 2. Make sure to show back up.
Will do. Sounds good.